for Mr. Bill Berry. Real quick before we start, I just wanted to kind of take a look at this real quick. So as you guys know, Lazarev is our design partner. Is Kirill? Where's Kirill? There you go. That's the guy that's behind this branding thing that we've had, that we're growing with AI Infra. And then he says we need to up-level our Ignite logo, which I said, hell no. There's just no way we're going to do it. But he did it. And then so this is a really cool video put together by the Lazarev team. And I think it's really important because it really signifies this new era that we're in, right? With AI, there's so much noise. We got to cut through, not just with more words, with more noise, but really something strong and substantive that you could stand with, right? So we hope that you like this logo, and thank you, Lazarev, for designing that. Big hand for Lazarev. Okay, so real quick, I'm not going to take up too much of your time because there's going to be a lot of great speakers. I'm sure you guys saw our agenda. It is packed, right? There's a lot of stuff here. What I want to do is just be able to kind of frame, why is this so important now? We see stats go on. Everybody in every single news channels is going to be data centers. I was just at my parents' house, and they're watching CNBC, and I swear, like 70% of the content is things about AI and about infrastructure. It's a big economy. It's a big tidal wave that's happening. So let's just I'm going to give you a quick market recap of how we see things from our side. First, this is the global arms race, national mandate even. White House earlier this year released its America's AI action plan, and it mobilized over 90 federal actions. A lot of it is to do with infrastructure, data center. Let's make more land available. Let's have less red tape for development. But it also goes down to, hey, we should train our kids earlier in high school or maybe middle school to be AI competent, right? So there's a lot of stuff there. I would highly recommend everybody take a little read on it. You can find this online. But this really spurred off this partnership between DC and Silicon Valley that is new. And as you guys know, from a tech standpoint, we try to shy away from being too close to the government from a development standpoint. But this moment is so important that I think everybody needs to come together. It is a global arms race, and it's going to be a U.S. versus China. Which AI is going to win over the rest of the world, right? And right now, U.S. holds 51% of the hyperscaled AI data centers that's available, and then we're looking to double this thing in 5 years. That's a huge jump. The one thing that we have incorporated in the past couple of shows is more enterprise presence, because the enterprise, in a way, they're the canary in the coal mine. What are we building, right? Because once there's a value that's captured and created on the enterprise level, it'll scale fast, right? And it really affects the rest of the supply chain. So we heard the MIT, who heard about the MIT report, 95% of AI projects fail. I think everybody knows about that. And if you really dig into it, it's a limited data set. But we've been fortunate enough to be on the road with our partners, Supermicro, AMD, NVIDIA. And we do these CXO roadshows, and enterprise is more bullish than ever. Retailers are experimenting with AI either to increase customer experience or lower costs, tariffs, right? And so AI is in the middle of that conversation. We had a great fireside chat with Campbell's Soup in Atlanta, and a 150-year-old soup company. They are all in on AI, right? So everything from merchandise, supply chain management to advertising, there's a lot of interconnected pieces. And then we were also in Chicago talking to the big banks, and a lot of them want to speed up innovation by creating these AI tiger teams. And these teams go horizontal. They are very open to new technology. There's a lot of openings for startups to get into enterprise and kind of shorten that sales cycle, because this is the experimentation mode for enterprise. And then let's follow the money a little bit. So $1 trillion backbone. We had this as a title of the panel from our last event. But it's true, right? You look at it right now, just this year alone, $1 trillion has gone into investing into infrastructure. And then we're looking to grow that in 5 years to 7 trillion, right? That's a huge jump. 1.3 in real estate, 3.5 trillion in servers and GPUs, Supermicro guys, you guys like that stat? Yeah? Yes. Make it rain. And then the really interesting part here is every dollar that's invested, it triggers $2 to $3 more in the supply chain, right? So that's where there's going to be this huge tidal wave, the center of gravity, where we all have to be able to work together. Now, the crazy part is if you take a look at 2040, this graphic here, we're talking about 5 years from now, from 1 trillion to 7 trillion, right? And 15 years from now, 106 trillion. I didn't even know there's that much money in the world. But there is. And then so take a look at 23 trillion for energy, 19 for digital, right? And that's going to be AI infra. More importantly, though, we're not going to be the biggest spenders. Who's going to be the biggest spenders in 2040? It says Asia. So that's something to think about when we're talking about these global dynamics between US and China. So we also have heard a lot of noise about the circular economy, right? Because logically, if you're just passing money around friends, I think any grade school kid would say like, hey, wait a minute, what's happening here, right? But there's a great argument about this. And 3 weeks ago, I read this article and it was a 15-minute read. It was by Devansh. And it really talked about how this is a strategic alignment through balance sheets, right? Because by being able to do that, the NVIDIAs of the world, the AMDs of the world, they're able to lock down their supply chain, customer commitments, speed up sales cycle, right? So it is more strategic than it is a silly circular game. And so I called that guy up right when on a Saturday morning, and then he'll be presenting on this topic this afternoon. So be sure to attend that session. Data centers, we are going to be talking about this all day, but here's kind of the big high-level stats. There's mountains of stats out there, but 90% of data centers that exist today cannot handle AI workloads. 100% of AI data centers were pre-leased by the end of 2024. That's crazy. We're talking about something that's being built a year and a half out, maybe 2 years. An average AI data centers requires 30 megawatts. You guys know the footprint of data centers out there. There's some that's just not even being able to handle that, specifically on the rack density side. About 5 years ago, we're hovering around 5 to 10 kilowatt per rack, right? Now 40 is kind of like table stakes, and it got to be air cooled, right? Because anything above that, we have to talk about liquid cooling. We saw 130. We had a deal where it was my InfraCore team. We were just working on, and it's 177 per rack, right? And that's being deployed and decided today. So for sure, we're going to get 250, no problem. So this era is going to require a new wave of builders, right? So InfraCore is a company I founded earlier this year to help solve this problems. How do we, there's mega projects that's going up like Stargate, but there's a lot of pieces, there's a lot of property out there that are good, but it just needs a trained eye and the right people, the right experienced people to create it into an AI data center inventory that can go into the market. So the big paradigm shift there is it's a meet the market model by working with off-takers, and then we have a lot of them here in this room. But we work with their requirements and then find the property and then finish and progress that property so then it can meet their needs, right? Which is different than a build it and they will come data center 5 to 7 year cycle. So this is a meet the moment type of builders. And just in 8 short months, we have a 21 megawatt data center in Chicago that we're actively in market. And then we have a greenfield project in Black Bear with natural gas as a power supply behind the meter. So lots of exciting stuff there. InfraCore's booth is right out there, but then they'll also have a breakout session this afternoon. Make sure you attend that. And then above data centers, the real bottleneck is real energy, right? So this chart by McKinsey is saying that we're going to need to triple our energy to meet these demands by 2030. That's a lot. We're going to run out of grid, right? So from data centers standpoint, it will absorb 5% of all global electricity. Grid delays, utility guys, they're just not used to moving that fast. I think you guys know. So this is something that we all have to catch up or keep up with as a group, as a whole, to see what we can do to speed things up. But the rise of the microgrids is coming. 30% of new capacities is looking at behind the meter solutions. Can we do nat gas? Can we do nuclear? Lots of new technology coming out. Department of Energy is saying that we're going to need 200 gigawatts of behind the meter by 2030 to make this all work. Beyond the gold rush, lots of stuff happening here, right? Beyond the gold rush, we're going to have, this is not even the biggest wave, right? Because if we look at the cloud patterns of the past, we started with monolithic data centers and then we started building it out. Like, you know what the rule, the universal rule is? More intelligence closer to the edge always, right? And then so we're going to have a big proliferation of this edge play in the AI era with inferencing and agents all working on the edges without us, right? So 75% of AI compute will be inferencing by 2030. And then putting more intelligence up the edge at the edges reduces transfers by 70%, right? And we're, by the way, inferencing, people can argue, is it here yet? It's not. EV cars, that's an example of inferencing. Live, Waymos, you see these, right? And then so I think you're starting to see these quietly get rolled out. So this is the crux of the problem. That when you listen to all the talks today, you'll see that there's a mismatch of timelines. Applications and workloads is going to be based on the customer use, the use cases, right? The demands. That could change in weeks. Right? There's a lot of software developers here, and you can see like we have a requirement, we can build it. Soft infrastructure, right? Let's just say that's everything from the rack to the cloud can be built in months. A little bit more difficult, but hard infrastructure, data centers, we're talking about years. How do we match up all this chaos? So the answer is that we have to collaborate. We can't be in our ivory towers thinking that we have the answer, because you know everybody here who's from the Bay Area here, by the way? Is it mostly Bay Area crowd? Okay, good. What we do know is we could be right today and we could be wrong tomorrow, right? That puck moves fast. And then for us to be able to talk to each other and collaborate in a day like this today is really going to be really important. So the agenda, real quick note about this, we save at least 50% of, no, more than 50% of our agenda is thought leadership non-paid. That means we're out there curating the best speakers with the best topics that captures the zeitgeist of what's going on right now. We bottle it up, we package it up in a day like this. So with that said, real quick with a few minutes left, I want to bring up my buddy Carl Brown from Supermicro. Everybody. All right, Carl. Hey, just a real quick note, help us kick us off for the day. But first, let's flex a little bit. I hear it's raining GPUs over there.
Supermicro, we're doing racks on racks on racks. All right. It's all about 100,000 GPUs deployed in 122 days. You want to talk about scale, efficiency, and prowess. We're deploying some of the most complex data center deployments ever. We're leading the industry, and it's all done by Supermicro. So that's a big flex. That's just the beginning, right? Because this wave, you talk about the trillions, we're on that $1 billion run right now. So that is Supermicro at its finest. Very good to partner with you, Bill.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, your ascent to the Fortune 500 was the fastest on record. Did I hear that right earlier this year?
Yes, that was.
So congratulations for that. Now, rumor has it, you got 3 neo clouds together with you on a panel. How'd you do that?
You know, collaboration is the key. You just mentioned it, right? And somebody's name wasn't on that Bloomberg list. I'm not sure. So it's always nice to be collaborating because we know what's going on from the street level. So this today, first time only, must see TV. We have Caruso, we have TensorWave, and we have Vulture all on the same stage today talking about optimization of these building of the AI factories for optimization and ROI. It's the heart of what we're talking about in this next wave. Tokenomics, value creation for the enterprise. That's what they're doing, and they're doing it in a major way.
All right. So on to the show. What's in store today? What can everybody expect?
You know, these are innovative times. We had a great podcast at dinner last night, right?
Yeah.
We were talking about the AI race. We're talking about tokenomics, you know, tokens per watt, tokens per value, like compute values and those things. That is what's going on. So listen closely to all of the speakers today. You're going to hear some of the next wave technology that's coming out, and specifically stop by Supermicro's booth so you can see the latest and greatest technology that's bleeding edge, so that you can learn what's going on in the data center. But today, it's all about conversation that's going to power ROI. We got an agent next wave coming, right?
Yeah.
First wave was all about training, getting GPUs. This year, it's all about deploying those GPUs faster, more efficient.
Today is going to be not like any other show. We really want to make sure that you guys know that. A lot of times you have these shows that just have all these, ivory tower folks talking about pontificating or whatever. This is the builder show. This is for the builders, by the builders. They're not like us, right, Carl?
It's very hard to be like us.
They're not like us. So with that said, let's kick it off. Let's have a great day, everybody. Thank you. Let's go.
Ignite on the beat, yo. Ignite on the beat, yo. AI 2025, here we go. We're gonna see something special, it's on peak snow. Truly bleeds tech, it's cutting edge and deep. Whoa. What's with all these jabronis trying to peep infra? We've been doing it here way before the cloud era. Just because they got machines to learn, they think they're now near us. Say AI will take over humans, makes you a proud Führer. You need to learn your picks and shovels, get your cloud clearer. Sometimes you gotta pop out and paint a picture. Infra summits where AI players come to create the future. Speakers from Supermicro, AMD, and Microsoft. Start to APIs, Reckon 9, Vulture, we don't hide the sauce. Say fakes, we hear you think we're dumb. You link in parks because you become so numb. Spread myths about the summit of silly cons. Say summit to our faces, silicon. We know you think your meetings are up now, but all that we hear is that your meetings get shut down. You not really local, how'd you get around? Certified mother's boys at the wrong playground. What? Yeah, we on them tough. What? Don't let them steal our stuff. We all wanna prosper. Way they've been moving lately, making things awkward. Copy this, copy that, but you can't even foster. Trying to talk tech, but you're just an imposter. They not like us. 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 Now we in the AI infra era. Bottlenecks on grids, gigawatts in the AI. Before they burn budgets, stumbling in the dark. We set the blueprint, come and play your part. If they wanna learn, we can talk at the summit. AI infra with the real ones running. If they wanna learn, we can talk at the summit. AI infra with the real ones running.